Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Vintown, the Vintown Mariners podcast, the best podcast about the Mariners, recorded in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am Vintown. I'm here to talk 2024 Mariners offseason. And I honestly wish I did this video like 2 weeks ago because I was seeing a lot of things from the Mariners intelligentsia uh, that were just wrong, plain wrong. And I think they knew they were wrong, but they just did it anyway, and they continue to do it. One of the main reasons I started this podcast is because I just didn't feel like I was having myself represented in the fandom or in, just the ideas or however you want to look at it. I just wasn't feeling that from the things I was listening to, and that's been abundantly clear in the stuff that I've listened to lately. And I just come to the conclusion that a lot of these content creators are not serious. They're grifters. They're not interested in like telling people who the Mariners might get. They're like living in a fantasy world where the Mariners are going to sign Willie Damas and the Mariners are going to go sign Anthony Santander, despite the fact that he doesn't fit any actual need they have, besides like a good hitter. But like you'd be putting him into a clogged outfield as it is, and that doesn't make sense. But the reason I say that we've known for a while what this team is going to do is because they told us. There's a MLB.com article, Jerry Dipoto quote. The Jerry Dipoto quote was, on the continuum of A to Z, trading pitching would be Plan Z times some denominator. We could shoot ourselves in the foot by trying to get too crafty in what we do. Our pitching is how we're built. I love our rotation. That's it. But then you have so many different, content creators who are saying, my plan for the offseason, trade this pitcher for this player. Already you're wrong. That's not going to happen because they're keeping the rotation in place. I think correctly so. They're keeping the 5 starters in place. And that's it. That's it. It's Plan Z. Plan Z for my Canadian listeners. Plan Z. Okay? The second quote, which this goes back to Willie Damas, Anthony Santander, even Christian Walker. Guys who I think would be fine to sign. The Mariners would be a better team if they signed him. I'm not arguing that. But like to put the idea out there is silly because you have this quote from John Stanton. And this quote came out on like the 30th of September, I believe. But it was said earlier or said back in June. Regardless, John Stanton said, "We've never been focused on free agent bats, those kind of big dollar free agent bats, as a matter of strategy, not because of anything have to do with the resources." Yeah, right. But that's not their strategy. They don't go after high-priced players, high-priced hitters. I think the highest priced hitter the Mariners ever signed was Mitch Garver, and that's like what, $12 million a year? That's not a lot of money, and that's nowhere near what Christian Walker, Willie Damas, Anthony Santander, and Juan Soto are getting. Nowhere near it. Like, we can debate the merits of like if this is a good strategy or not. I understand what they're doing. I don't agree with it. And I think if this was your strategy, that if there was ever a time in your history to break the bank, that Juan Soto would be that player. Because the reason you don't spend on free agents is because they're all nearing 30 and then they get worse as they're past 30. Willie Damas is 29 years old. Like, will he be good? Yes, but like that's not a long period. And shortstops' bodies break down, etc. I understand where they're coming from. I think they're often wrong, and they should often just do it, even if you won't win every year of the contract. That's what they want to do. They want to win every year of the contract. But I'm not arguing if they should or shouldn't sign free agents. They should. But I'm saying that they won't. and they're right here telling you they won't. They're right here telling you they won't trade a starter and they won't sign a big free agent bat. And what I've seen over and over and over from content creators, the Mariners Intelligentsia, or as I call them, the grifters. That's the new name, the grifters. And these are people who, this is their job. This is not my job. It would be nice to make some money, but I don't think I ever will. But that's fine. I'm just doing it because I like to talk about the Mariners, and this is how I decided I want to do it. I don't want to post on Reddit because the ideas there are even more in driving me insane. Some of the things I read on there, when I check it. But anyway, I'm calling them the grifters because I think they know what I just said. I think they know the Mariners aren't signing a big free agent, but they say it anyway. They put it in their listener's head, their viewer's head, that the Mariners, if they want to be serious, they gotta sign Willy Adames. I saw a thing where it's like, oh, the Mariners might be linked to Juan Moncada. Okay, we can talk about that later. But the reaction was not like, oh, that's a good buy low or whatever. I hope he's not the only thing you're going to get. But it was like, after you sign Willy Adames, after you sign Anthony Santander, then we can maybe talk about Juan Moncada. But like, that's putting an idea out there, putting the idea that this is what they have to do to listen to you because you know best, and then your listeners, your fans, they think you know best. And then when the Mariners don't do it, it doesn't matter even if they do the best move they've done in 10 years. They didn't do what these guys put out there. So it's a bad idea. It's not the move. I used to be into professional wrestling, and this happened all the time where people fantasy book what should happen. And when it doesn't happen, even if it's cool or whatever, they're mad that it didn't happen. And I feel like this is the same. And then you set it up for your listeners to be mad, to be angry about what didn't happen, the hypothetical thing that didn't happen, right? And then so who do you go to? Oh, these guys are mad about it because it was their plan. They didn't do it. So they're mad. So I'm mad. So I'm going to keep watching this so I can reinforce what I'm mad about. It's like the same thing that like, I don't know, like right-wing grifters do online. You don't get like these like emotional like return engagement with like happy things with love. Like I think the Mariners are a good team. Nobody wants to agree with that because it's so much easier to sell the hate. We've been going through this shit for years, this is all bullshit. And then you just rile everybody up and everybody gets mad and then you're all on the same team. But like you as the content creator, you're the leader of the Mad Brigade. And so like you just keep them coming back, keep them watching, keep them listening. Because that keeps money in your pocket because that's your friggin' job. Like, I don't know if these people really want the Mariners to be a great franchise because our people are going to listen as much if they're bad. And if you don't really know ball, if you don't know baseball, if you don't know the sport, it's not as engaging when you're talking about the good times. You can't engage people the most by talking about good times. It's easier to engage people, talk about what you hate. And that's why I don't even want to say it's anyone in particular. I have no problem against any of them. They all have like everyone has their flaws, everyone's whatever. I try to come at it like from a place of understanding, but sometimes I really just think y'all are grifting me. Y'all are grifting. You're not being serious. You're just trying to get me excited about some player, and that's never going to happen. The team has said it's not going to happen. And thankfully, a lot of these people have since caught up. They've caught up to these articles that came out 2 months ago almost. And they're saying, oh, I guess this is the plan. They pulled out the rug from us again. But they didn't do that. Last season, they did. They did not. They were not this transparent. And here they are being transparent, and it's the same result. They're getting the same reaction. Uh, but I think they actually are transparent here. I don't agree with them 100%. I don't agree with them 50% half the time, but they're doing a better job of it, I guess, like, and now that we know, John Stanton said, it's our strategy not to sign high-end free agents. Just stop talking about high-end free agents. Just stop. Because it's not going to happen. It's not. That's not the strategy. If they get a new GM, a new president of baseball operations, Jerry DePoto's gone, Justin Hollander's gone, then we can talk about high-end free agents. But, like, besides Robinson Cano, has this team ever... Robinson Cano, Richie Sexson, and Adrian Beltre. Besides those three players, have the Mariners ever really delved in that space? I guess Nelson Cruz too. But really, I mean, we're talking those two players, Robinson Cano and Nelson Cruz, that's 10 years ago. It's not what they do. If you don't like that, if you can't handle that, if you're going to be mad about that, you're feel free to be mad about that. But, like, without doing that, the Mariners are where they are. They have, like, maybe the 7th best record of all teams over the past 10 years or whatever. They have made the playoffs once and been on the cusp 3 other times in the past 5 years. They've had some bad luck. They've had some bad play. They've had some dumb moves. But they're in the conversation. They've been in the conversation. First time since 2000 to 2003, the Mariners have had winning records 4 straight years. And that's going to be 5 years. It's going to be. This next year is going to be another one. So that's where I'm at. This is a good team. It just needs to get a little bit better. And I don't want to change things too much. I want continuity. So my offseason plan is just continuity, and I think that's the Mariners' offseason plan as well. It's not the Jerry way. It's not what we've seen from Jerry. Like, he's always making moves. And I think he's making too many moves. Okay, let's go back. The Mariners make the playoffs 2021. What did they do? Or was it 2022? Whatever. A key part of that run, Carlos Santana. Trade deadline. He is a key part of that run. The team loves him. He's a great clubhouse guy. Next season, what the Mariners do? They let him go. They bring in Colton Wong for second base and AJ Pollock. Okay. I think that team would have made the playoffs if they took the $12 million or whatever it was, or however it worked for Colton Wong, and just gave it to Carlos Santana, and then figured out second base, went cheap on second base instead of going cheap on the DH outfielder, what they did with Pollock. And that would be that would have been a playoff team. I believe that. Last season, 2024, the 2023 team had Eugenio Suarez, and it had Jared Kelenic, and it had let's just stop there. Let's just stop with Suarez. That's it. If they had just not done that Suarez move, they would have been a playoff team in 2024. That, I believe that with all my heart. That's a fact. Get off the Robbie Ray contract, get off the Marco Gonzalez, get off the Evan White, fine. But if you just kept Suarez for this season, this 2024 season, this would have been a playoff team with no other changes. I believe that, because you know why? All they needed was one more win or 2 more wins, and they're in. In case you didn't see it, I did do a video, just like a classic YouTube video of ranking every loss of the 2024 Mariners season. It's on my YouTube channel. It will be linked in the comments. But yeah, that's what I think. You look at this season, if they would have had Suarez, that would have changed so much. And so the goal of the season is, this offseason should be continuity, and that's it. Continuity is key. And continuity is what will get this team back to the playoffs. Before we get into the players who may or may not join the team, let's just look at the team that we have right now, okay? The positions that are locked in. Cal Raleigh, catcher, lock. Okay, Cal Raleigh is the greatest defensive baseball player in the universe. He's the Platinum Glove winner, okay? And he was robbed of the Silver Slugger. There's no other way to put it. He was robbed of the Silver Slugger. Sal Perez maybe has some better hitting stats, better batting average, but he played 40 or 50 less games as a catcher. As a catcher, okay? This isn't 40 or 50 less games at DH or first base or right field. This is at catcher, the most physically taxing position, okay? He played 1/3 of a season longer, 1/3 or 1/4 of a season more at catcher, and was right there with him in all stats. So Cal Raleigh, rest up, big dumper. We're gonna need you, but you're locked in at catcher. Okay, center field, Julio Rodriguez, and if you want to just say it like the entire season, next season, season after that, it all rests on this guy's shoulders. I think he's gonna finally be in that MVP conversation next year. I talked about it before, but with his contract, he needs to if he wants to like get the big dollars of his contract. But he needs to get in the MVP conversation, and you see like these glimpses of it, like in late September or all through August of 2023. Like he's there. He just needs to put it all together. If that is because he has Edgar Martinez there, if that's what it is to him, then I don't care if Edgar Martinez did or did not fix this offense. If Julio will listen to him, then you need him. Then you need him. Name his price. Because Julio could be an 8 or 9 WAR win player. And he could be an MVP contender. And if that takes Edgar Martinez to get him there, then that's what it takes, okay? Left field, locked in, Randy Arozarena. One thing I want to say about Randy Arozarena and also Justin Turner that I was thinking about is like after they got traded to the Mariners, right after, they both like started slow. They weren't as good as they would be. With Randy, there was like a lot of strikeouts, but he still hit some home runs, so it didn't look as bad. But like he had a really hard time adjusting to being a Mariner. Like this was his first time away from Tampa. He had lots of friends there. The Rays played at Seattle. He's hanging out in the other locker room. Whiny people are complaining about it. That's not right. Blah blah blah. Yeah, it's just like whatever. But then once he started to become a Mariner and become part of the team, like he was like that guy. He was a Randy Arozarena. That he was all capitals Randy. The guy that you wanted, the guy you got excited about. So I think just like starting with the Mariners from day one, knowing his place, knowing his teammates, I think it will make a really big difference. I think he will be a big contributor next year. Right field, Victor Robles. Let's hope it's Victor Robles. I mean, it is Victor Robles, but a lot of times when people are doing this, they're doing this projection, they're like trying to game it out to the end of the season. We're gaming it out to opening day, okay? Victor Robles is the opening day right fielder. He might even be the leadoff man. He deserves every opportunity to not lose his spot. Like he was that good last year. He was incredible last year. He was one of the most valuable hitters in all of baseball in the second half. I think he was like Ohtani and him, like were the top. Like he was seriously that good. But like, there's a chance that was a fluke, and if that's a fluke, then you're gonna put him and someone else, maybe a platoon situation. But we just got to go with it right now. Go with our gut. He's gonna do it again. The Mariners fixed him. We're all good. Okay. Third base or shortstop, J.P. Crawford. A lot of people are so down on J.P., and it really like it annoys me. Like I get it, but like 2023, he was one of the best shortstops in baseball. Like he had a ton of walks. He was one of the most valuable hitters. And then last season, slow start, injuries, bad season. And it's like everyone's just assuming that's who it is going forward. Maybe they're right, but I understand that he's not getting traded and he's not getting moved off shortstop. Okay, like the Mariners are invested in him. He's one of the team leaders, and like he deserves the benefit of the doubt. He completely changed himself. He went to driveline. He became a new hitter. He's always been a really patient hitter. He added power. I'm sure this offseason he's probably going back saying, what went wrong, blah blah blah, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. That's what he's doing. And especially like with the emergence of Victor Robles, so J.P. Crawford is back down to ninth in the batting order. I think it's a perfect spot for him. There's a lot less pressure there, but then also, lets him still be like a table setter, like a top of the lineup, but at the bottom of the order. So if he is more like last year, it doesn't hurt as bad. I do expect a bounce back. He deserves a spot. He deserves a spot. I forgot to mention this. I probably should let off with this, but the pitchers, you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to worry about them. Okay, so where are we at? All the outfield is done. Shortstop, catcher, okay, and then we got one half of a platoon at first base with Luke Raley. A lot of other people's offseason plans like somehow forget that Luke Raley exists, and I'm like, he was like the third best hitter on the team last year. What are you doing? Yeah, Luke Raley exists, and he's a really fun player. Hits bombs. He's not the best first baseman, but I do wonder if like starting the season, knowing he's going to be a first baseman, will help. The Mariners have Perry Hill, great fielding coach. He's improved a lot of careers, and maybe he can work with Luke, help him out there. Worst case scenario, he's in more in the platoon with Victor Robles. I don't want that. He will maybe get some outfield starts though this year. Positional flexibility, that's a key part of what we're planning to do here, okay? So last season, the way the Mariners finished the season was a third base platoon of Josh Rojas and Dylan Moore. Dylan Moore played everywhere. He played a lot of shortstop when J.P. Crawford went down. But Dylan Moore, when he's in a platoon, when he's strictly against lefties, is like an elite hitter. He's a 125 WRC plus last season against lefties. The goal should be for him to mostly play against lefties and then be JP's backup, be the second base backup, be a late inning defensive replacement guy. That should be the role, Dylan Moore. But like those starts against left-handed pitching, Dylan Moore has to be in there, and I think it should be third base. Josh Rojas, why am I putting him here? Why am I putting him here? He had a crappy season, blah, blah, blah. He was so elite at defense last year. He was extremely elite at defense last year. The defensive metrics, fielding, positional adjustment combined above average at the Fangraphs lists. He was the sixth best third baseman defensively in baseball in 121 games. All the guys above him played more games than that. Another thing about Josh that I will say is his splits. His splits are something. Versus right-handed pitching, 240 batting average, 318 on base, 370 slugging, a 104 WRC plus, like barely above league average. But if you combine that with the elite defense, that's a pretty good player. However, against lefties, he hit 133, 224 on base percentage, 133 slugging percentage, of 15 WRC plus. But I think with just these two and a strict platoon, like just looking at this team here, half Rayleigh plus someone else, Robles, Julio, Randy, JP, the third base platoon, the pitching, and Cal Raleigh, and then like that is the making of a playoff team right there. That is 86 wins, 85 wins right there. I think it is. And then we're gonna. What do we need? The other half of your first base platoon, and a second baseman, and a DH. Okay. The DH, just bring back Justin Turner. Don't even think about it. Justin Turner, you can go like 4 days a week on him. You know, because he is older. He needs to protect his body. He should be first base, emergencies only. Like, don't even. Like, he wasn't very good in the field. And also, he's like 40. He'll be like 42, 41, 42. Like, it's not worth it to risk his body. Like, you want him for the bat. So put him at the spot where you have the bat. Okay? That's it. I will say this too. I've said it all ever since they got him. You know, Edgar Martinez, I'm sure he helped a lot as the hitting coach. But Justin Turner probably helped just as much. Justin Turner is a hitting genius. Just like when they had Carlos Santana. This isn't new, but like the team loved him. The team loved him. They respected him. They listened to him, you know. A lot of times hitters, they don't want to take advice from a coach. They want to take advice from someone who's doing it. And that's Justin Turner. He's been there. He's done it all. He's well worth talking to. He loves talking hitting, apparently. I mean, I would sign him if I'm the Mariners. And if it doesn't work out this season, just be like, hey, Edgar only wants to be part-time, so you're the hitting coach now, if you want it, if you want the job. I hope that's what happens. Okay, so that's your DH. So this team, these eight players, basically. I think that's a playoff team. I do. I think that is a playoff team. Maybe wild card, contending for the division. But with this rotation and the bullpen, I think it's a playoff team. Okay, so let's get to our big question marks. We got first base versus lefties. Okay, here's what I think the Mariners should do. Mitch Garver, Mitch Haniger. One of you guys, you're both picking up a first baseman this winter. You're both practicing. You're both going to get starts there in the spring. And you're both getting an opportunity to take that spot. Mitch Haniger, this is probably your only hope. I mean, the Mariners could carry him as like the fifth outfielder, because especially when you look at with Dylan Moore and Luke Rayleigh, you don't even really need him to be the fifth outfielder. But his days as an outfielder are probably over. So I think he should try to become a first baseman, try to hit the best that he can. I do think he was very unlucky last year. He wasn't good, but he was very unlucky. And there were times where there were signs that there was maybe something there. Maybe that's just like fandom, but I do think there was something there. There might still be something there. But if there's not, there's not. And then he'll be gone by May. A lot of people are like doing these trades in their heads like, hey, we got to get rid of Mitch Haniger. Let's give up 2 prospects and get a backup catcher or something ridiculous like that. I just don't get it. Okay. The Mariners had a guy named Robbie Ray, and he had a $50 million 2-year option on his contract that they signed him to. He was hurt. He was out with an injury before last season. The Mariners traded him to the Giants. They got Mitch Haniger back, okay? So he makes $15 million this year. All right, that's a lot. That's maybe too much to pay. But for his talent or whatever. But the Mariners could have paid $50 million for a guy they don't need or want. Or they could pay $15 million for this season and be done with it, okay? That's it. That's all it is. They saved $35 million overall from this deal. They did, and so it's not a big deal if it doesn't work out. They wanted it to work out, but the main deal was to get away from that $50 million, and they did it. And bravo, I guess. But I do want to say, I'm just going to say it here. Talking about Mitch Haniger and Mitch Garver and like how their contracts are so bad and you got to get them out of here to get these other guys is so gross. Like, okay, everyone wants to complain about ownership, right? Like, oh, these owners, they're so cheap. Well, you're doing their job by saying these guys make too much money. You're saying the same thing. You shouldn't be mad at Mitch Haniger or Mitch Garver for not hitting. You should be mad at the Mariners for paying someone who can't hit, for having bad analysis, for picking the wrong guy, for giving that money to the wrong guy. If they're the wrong guy, that's not their fault. They want to be the guy. They want to still be that guy, but they're not. And it's on the team for paying that guy. And if you want your team to spend more money, if you want your team to act like a major league organization, then you just suck it up and you release them. That's it. You don't attach prospects. That is Mickey Mouse. That is minor league. That's what dumb teams do. Okay, you want your team to be a major league. You want your team to be a top tier organization. Then just let them go. Don't be trying to ship them off and getting nothing in return. Maybe another shitty contract. It's such a waste of time. It's just like, just stop. Not to say there's no possible trade out there, especially for Garver as a catcher, but there's no trade for Haniger. Nobody's going to trade for Haniger and not steal from you, not steal a prospect from you. And so they're not going to do that. They're going to give Mitch Haniger all the chances he can get. And if he doesn't show it by May, he's gone. And that's it. Ichiro, once upon a time, was gone. And he was just a fifth outfielder who didn't have it anymore. And they released him then. Different situation, but not really. Not really. But anyway, give Haniger a shot. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Mitch Garver, I think it might work out. Mitch Garver, did he have an unlucky year last year? Maybe, sort of. I mean, his BABIPs are terrible. Against lefties, he had a 124 WRC+. So if he's just going to start at first base against lefties or at DH against lefties, that's fine. If he has a 124 WRC+, that's good. And that's a 124 WRC+ with a 226 BABIP. Okay, that's bad luck. I mean, he doesn't have speed, but that's bad luck. Against righties, though, he was terrible. 67 WRC+, 209 BABIP. But looking at his career, he had a 228 BABIP in 2022, but every year besides that, he had a BABIP over 270. So I think he was a bit unlucky. I think he could bounce back. His walk rate did not change from the year before. His strikeout rate did go up. But I think he can bring value. And if he doesn't work out as the right-handed side of the first base, then he can just be the backup catcher, and that's it. And then it's the last year of the deal, and that's it. If there's some team out there that wants to give him a shot as a catcher, and they want to give something up, or maybe there's a deal that could be worked there. But that's not something you shop around. That's something that comes to you. So, that's it. But yeah, I think those guys, it's already been said that both those guys are getting a shot in the team. So it's not like I'm talking out of school here. Like I said, I should have done this 2 weeks ago when I thought it, or 3 weeks ago when I thought it. But that's the team. So we got spots to fill. The Mariners say they want 2 infielders. It could be a second baseman. It could be a third baseman. Who could it be? Ha-Seong Kim, I think that's probably going to be too expensive for the Mariners. Plus, he's going to be out for the first several months of the season. I don't think that's going to work out. But I do want to look at his numbers because I think it kind of informs how Ha-Seong Kim, who the Mariners will probably be looking at, from the KBO. He's a 26-year-old second baseman. Last season in the KBO, he hit 326 with a 118 WRC plus. He sounds good, right? But the thing is, like, I'm not sure how it's going to translate. Because in 2020, Hae-Sung Kim from the Padres. In 2020, in the KBO, he hit 306 with a 141 WRC plus. He does have a lot more power, so it's not quite a 1-to-1. But he had a lot more power. He hit 306. He came to America and hit 202 with a 71 WRC plus. He figured it out at age 26, 105 WRC plus, and he's been better since. But I don't know. Would Hae-Sung Kim also have that kind of growing pains? I don't know. I think he's worth it. I think he's worth a shot. He does have a little bit of positional flexibility. That's good. He's played outfield. He's played short. He's played third, second. That's good. He's young. That's what this team needs. This is one thing I'm going to say before I got into the free agents, the trades, all that, is that this team needs young. This team needs youth and flexibility. That's something they did not have to start the season last year, and it cost them dearly. They got more of it as the season went on. More athleticism, more youth, more positional flexibility. And I think that's what they need. So Hae-Sung Kim, I would like that. I would like it paired with someone else that if it doesn't work out, they can take more time. One name that I've seen float around, Alec Baum. I don't think this one's going to happen. I understand why they would take the chance. He had a 115 WRC plus. He had 280. But he had an awful, and I mean awful, second half. 90 WRC plus in the second half, but that doesn't change. In September, he hit 170 with a 204 OBP, 298 slugging. He was like just terrible. And then he wasn't very good in the playoffs, and now he's on the trading block. There's lots of rumors about him, like maybe not being the best clubhouse guy, maybe liking to party too much. I don't know. But that doesn't seem like a Mariners guy. They like hardworking guys. They like guys who show up and want to learn and want to get better. I'm not sure he fits the profile, but he does hit so well that I won't be surprised if they take the chance, but I just don't know if it's worth it. On the same note, Gleyber Torres, no thank you. This guy hit in front of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. And he hit 257, 330, 378, a 104 WRC plus in a very favorable hitter's park. Also, his age 27 season, that's supposed to be a time when a guy really figures it out, really turns it on. He just didn't. I think he's going to cost too much, and there's enough stuff here similar to Baum where it's like he's not a hard worker, he's not whatever. So no thanks, no thank you. The one trade that I would like to see the Mariners make is for Brendan Donovan of the Cardinals. Cardinals are going in a rebuilding mode. One thing I always say about trades is like, why? Why would they do that? There's usually not a good answer when a lot of people are throwing out names. I've seen Mark Vientos thrown out for the Mariners. Why would the most exciting playoff team of 2024 trade their young, controllable, cheap third baseman when they're trying to take the next step, when they're trying to get Juan Soto, when they're trying to be a great team? Why would they do that? There's no reason to do that. Another trade I saw, Max Muncy from the Dodgers. Why would the World Series champions trade their starting third baseman? Why would they do that? I don't see any reason to do that. But the Cardinals, they're a different story. They're rebuilding, and you could say, oh, they should get Nolan Arenado then. He has a lot of money left, and he's on the decline. Brendan Donovan is like young enough, but they'd be willing to get rid of him because he's not that young. He's been mentioned on the trade block. He had a 115 WRC plus this year. He 278. He can play second, left, third, somewhat. Next season, the Steamer projections have him of a 118 WRC plus. That is better than the projections on Alec Baum. That's better than the projections on Gleyber Torres. I think that would be a very Jerry move. I think it would be a great move to get him. Because what would Brendan Donovan do? He could play second. He's a switch hitter. He could play. He can play third. He probably shouldn't, but he could, and he can play outfield. So then you have all this positional flexibility. There's a lot of different things you could do. He is a very good player, and I think it's the kind of player that the team has been missing. He's got years of controllability, cheaper, and that's what this team also needs. They need guys that match the timeline. They need guys that match the timeline of Julio and Cal. That's what they need. And Brendan Donovan could be that. You know, if he goes at second, fine for a few years. They get a better second baseman. Cole Young comes up, whatever. He can go to the outfield. He can play third somewhat. Probably could play first. You know, that's the kind of player that they need. Guys who can play lots of places. Then when you did this, you could do a Juan Moncada. And then he also can fit in all those places. You know, Josh Rojas, I got him penciled in at third, but he should have to compete for that because was awful at certain points last year. Like, he was an elite defender, so that should put him a leg up. But like, hey, we're gonna bring in Juan Moncada, and if he looks better than you, like, hey, maybe he's the guy. And then Dylan Moore is in your platoon at second base with Donovan. And then maybe Donovan goes to the outfield for starts. Randy goes to DH. There's a lot of different things you can do there, and those are things that the Mariners couldn't do last year. So that is how I would go about it. Some other names, I'll just do like a quick run through. Yandy Diaz, you know, I get it. It would be cool. So I just don't know if they want to trade like that. Jonathan India, Royals have been linked to him, and it's a major league starter for Jonathan India. And I don't think the Mariners want to give up a major league starter because they said they don't want to give up a major league starter. Brandon Lowe, same thing. Brandon Lowe also injury prone. Is he more of an outfielder now? Is he more of a second baseman? I mean, he'd be good, but I don't know if he fits quite what I'm looking for, what the team is looking for. Ahmed Rosario, sure, if he's cheap enough, he could be like the alternate to Moncada. But I think the Mariners would be best if they did some kind of combination of Hyesung Kim, Brendan Donovan, and then they just like made it work. It's all a jumble between second, third. It's all jumbled up. Maybe even first. Maybe Donovan is the weak side platoon of the first base. You know, I'm not a manager here, okay? But that's what this team needs. They need positional flexibility. They need youth. All that. You're probably asking yourself, why? Why would they do this? Why? Where's the big names? Whatever. Look, the Mariners told you. Do I have to tap the sign? Do I have to go back to the beginning? We don't sign big name free agents. They trade for people. Okay, they trade for the Randy Rosarenas of the world. Okay, they trade for Luke Raley's. They don't sign Justin Turner. They trade for Justin Turner. You do this, you got the positional flexibility. You can move things around. If something's not working, you can do something in the trade deadline. And that's where the Mariners shine. That's where this front office shines. And that's how you improve. But I think this team would be in the high 80s wins wise, and then they can improve at the deadline. I didn't even touch the bullpen, but it's going to be much better next year. It's going to be way better. Santos, Brash, Troy Taylor, Munoz, that's going to be a shutdown bullpen. They should put on the best team that they can in this offseason and then figure out what works, fix it at the deadline, because that is what Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander do well. They dominate the deadline. And they should just do it again. So, that's all I got for you. Until next time, I'm Vintown. Be sure to check out my YouTube video I did about the Mariners 2024 losses. And then also, I'm probably going to do another one coming up here, maybe about the certain future Mariners Hall of Famer named Ichiro. So we got that to look forward to, and then I'll be back when the Mariners make a move. So thanks for listening.